Well, let's start this shave. We are going to use this Nacet that we've been using all month, plus 2 days before that. So 13 uses up to now. So today's 14 on the Nacet. It is starting to feel a little bit less sharp. It's already loaded inside the razor here. This is the Blackland Dart. This is the polished version, also called the matte version. Not polished, the machined version. Otherwise called the matte version affectionately. The brush we'll use today is this Whip Dog Boar. I'm going to start soaking that in just a minute. This is a Shave Forge handle. I've also seen handles very much like this on AliExpress. Williams is the soap I'll be using. This is a box with a new puck in it. I graded the puck and put it in another bowl, a little 4-inch bowl from Walmart. And you can grate hard soaps and put them in anything, and it's pretty cool. Let us take my little kind of soaking jar, squeeze those bristles, fit it down in there. We're going to let this soak for just a few minutes. You do need to get boar brushes generally wet before you use them. I prefer soaking. All right, I have my lather bowl. This is a custom one I've had made for me by a pottery type artisan, and it's got the thumb hole there for gripping, and I'm really happy with it so far. I've just had a couple uses with it. All right, and let me go ahead and splash some water on my face. I've had this soap soaking for a little while. As of right now, let's see. It's been 19 minutes, so let's get busy. Okay, boar brush. You haven't had too much time to soak. All right, let's see. So far, the Nacet has been very good. The first maybe 7 or 8 shaves, it was flawless and was giving me way above average results everywhere, especially my trouble spot right here. On about day 8 or use August 8th, which would mean 10 shaves with it, I think. It started to change a little bit, get a little bit less edgy. Still very comfortable, cheeks still very well shaven, but it started to leave some hairs there. I can't go against the grain. My hair on my neck goes this way. I can't go against the grain, and so I really need a well-functioning razor and blade combo to be able to get those hairs. Now here, so we're in a different tier with the Nacet blade to where we're not getting those hairs well, but we're still shaving really well. So let's see how long this next tier lasts before something changes. All right, because we're going through all of August with this blade, hopefully. All right. Oh, and I'll take just a second to say, last time I tried, we're doing about a 20-minute soak here with the soap, blooming, maybe call it. And then I'm going to load for 30 seconds, and that's what I did last time. And then I'm going to use my medicine dropper here to put in a teaspoon and a half of water during the course of building the lather. And last time when I did that, after just putting in half a teaspoon, the lather it felt too thin. Then then by the time I put it on my face, it was really clumpy, like it was too thick and needed to have some more water added. And so it seems as though Williams is a little different than other soaps in that regard. And so that little thinness test maybe is not a good indicator until you've added what you know is a reasonable amount of water. Or maybe it just takes a while for that to thicken up, because it was just really thin and airy looking. Small bubbles could easily be seen in the lather. I don't know whether I was stirring too fast. That definitely, I've got ridges in the bottom of this bowl, but all month, except for a couple days ago, I've been using a bowl that doesn't have any ridges, and it was doing the same thing. So I'm wondering if it could be the stir speed. Am I aerating it too much? You know, there's that. When I produced a great lather with it just the other day, kind of as a test lather, I was using a badger brush, which has a lot more hairs. Maybe it didn't disturb and whip up the lather in as much of an airy type sense. Or maybe it was just the fact that I kept adding water even though it kind of felt thin. So I'm going to assume I'm going to see if it's the latter of those options today. All right, I think the brush has had a good chance to soak. I'm going to now sling the water out. So there we go, 24 millimeter Boar from Whipped Dog. Doesn't have a whole lot of backbone. That's the way I like them, usually. Okay, I'm going to pour out all of the bloom water. And so now here is you can see there's a brush hair in there from the badger that I used the other day. All right, so a 30-second load. I'm going to wait till the timer there hits 10 and 10. All right. Not pressing down super hard. I go one way for several turns and then the next. So at 40 I'll stop. And there's a 20-second load. $40. Not even going to reach in and get the extra bits around the side. Maybe that's too airy. I don't know. Well, I've been doing that the whole time. So yeah, let me go ahead and do it. Okay. So there we go. You know, in one sense, it doesn't look like all that much soap, but I guarantee you that's enough to do the job. I've been there before. All right. And now, take my lather bowl. And now, who knows? Maybe I should have stirred that a little bit more slowly. I'm going to just work on more slow stirring here. One little note. I believe yesterday was the first time I noted that while I was using the lather, I couldn't really smell the scent anymore. It was a little too strong on day 1 or 2, but by day 4 or so, not very strong at all. So if you like Williams, your only hang up with it is the scent, then maybe just keep shaving with it, and then just in a couple of shaves, especially if you leave it in a container that's open, so it kind of dries out, and during the day that scent has a chance to really dissipate. So I have not added water to the brush. I slung all the water out, loaded the brush, and then went right here. I do not have any extra water. Last time I loaded, I took an approach of after I add some water to it, let's wait until that water's all added in there, and I try to have very few bubbles and that sort of thing. Try to make sure that it equalized beforehand, because maybe I thought I was putting too much air in it or something, and I don't think that was too fruitful. I don't think it, and it took a long time. All right, now normally I fill this up to full, which is 2 teaspoons, but I know I'm only going to want to use 1.5, and so I'm only going to put 1.5 in there. There we go. All right, we'll add a little bit. We'll start small, because what happened was I spent 10 minutes building the lather before, and it just appeared airy, too many bubbles, and when I felt it with my fingers, it was just too slick. But then when I put it on my face, all of a sudden it clumped up, it gathered in clumps, and needed more water. And then once I added water, it all of a sudden became this wonderful creamy lather. And almost as if it made me think, hey, is this a lather, a little hair lost, is this a lather that is a soap that just is made to lather on your face and just does not work well with a bowl. And that may be the case. And definitely one of these days in August, I'm going to put aside the bowl and lather on my face. I'm not as good with that because I haven't done it as much. I love lathering with the bowl because the lather that I build up, the first pass is the same as the third pass or fourth pass. Same consistency. If I dial it in just right, then I enjoy that same lather throughout the whole shave. Whereas if I face lather, I end up with a really rich lather on my face for the first pass, and then it just diminishes as I go because I've just rinsed all that away. Now this looks encouraging. I think I'm stirring just a little more slowly than usual. Hopefully that's what's going on. Slow down, David. So let me show you what we got here so far. Now this guy is looking pretty good. He does not have a sheen, but the bubbles aren't huge. So it's looking promising. Let's go ahead and add a little bit more. Probably adding an 1/8 of a teaspoon at a time, not a lot. Probably need to start moving a little faster. Which reminds me, YouTube has a speed adjustment. While I'm building my lathers, sometimes it takes 10-12 minutes on a new lather that I haven't established a shortcut for. And so, you can hit the gear icon at the bottom of the YouTube video, and it will give you some options. One of them is speed, I think. Change it to 1.5. You still, if I speak slow enough, then you still should be able to understand me, and that will move the video along a lot quicker. This lather is looking better and better. Sounds good. Sometimes the sound will tell you quite a bit about the lather as you're building it up. You can hear it kind of pull the soap as it moves around, with other soaps at least. And then all of a sudden it'll change sounds. And it's not like a, kind of sound or a pulling sound like that, suction-y thing. It's more like a mixing and a smooth sound. And then your lather has changed. Viscosities and slicknesses and that kind of thing. Okay, looking good. Not even going to finger test it. I'm just going to put the whole 1.5 teaspoons in. And shave from there. It's got a lot of structure to it, peaky in places, kind of like a moonscape. In other soaps, that's usually an indicator that it's not hydrated enough. Slow down. My belief with these ridges on this bowl, if you have ridges and they're very close together and you move really fast, I think that gives you a higher potential for adding air to the lather. Most of the time it's not what you want to do. If they're more spread out, and you also go slower, or any combination, I think that's the other end of the spectrum, where that will cause, as you run over a hump, the bristles will flex, and as they flex, they rub against each other, and then that's what helps to agitate and mix the soap. In addition, like, let me do a swipe through. You see that you see the stripes of soap. I'm leaving soap behind in the valleys, and then as I come back later, I pick up that soap, and it helps to move the soap around to other parts of the lather, and so I think that helps it too. Definitely going to have plenty of soap for this shave. Now, do we have any more water? Oh, just a tiny drop there. So this is our 1.5. Make sure it's mixed up, and then I'll show you. I have the camera kind of cutting off my forehead so that it's easier for you to see the lathers. You don't want to see me going bald as we speak anyway. So this looks, I sure hope this is not deceptive. Sometimes I've had a lather that looks great, but it was just way too thin. Looks like I have a good quantity. Still got maybe half a pass or a pass in the bowl. Size comparison here. About a 5.5 inch interior diameter on the bowl. You see it's got a lot of structure to it. Not a lot of elasticity. Short peaks. Not all that tall in the peak department. I was pressing down a little bit in the bowl to, to have a splay. Just a little bit of one, not a lot. And there we go. I'm just going to try to make sure I get a good consistent mix around. This can also help to gradually work out some of the bubbles that may be there, but to be honest, I see a few, several, no sheen to speak of, but all right, let's shave with it and see what happens. Splash my face a little bit. All right, I'm interested. I mean, this could be the one. Feels good. Looking for creamy, looking for luxury. I've already got plenty of good formulations for Williams to give you an enjoyable lather, but I'm looking for the beyond, the extra, that good to great kind of thing. That's why I'm trying so many variations. Right now, it may look very thin on my cheek. That's normal. That's normal for this soap. It's normal for so many of the artisan soaps that we have out. For this scrubbing, a lot of times the center looks like that, doesn't have a whole lot of soap in it, and the outside has all the soap. Normal. Splaying a little bit, not maximum splay. Very comfortable. Now I'm going to switch to the painting motion. And this is when I bring in the lather that's on the side of the brush. And this actually looks like it needs a little bit more water. Interesting. Yeah, probably best to give it some more water so that it bonds to the skin better. I'm going to go ahead and refill my syringe to the full 2 teaspoons. And just that way we can track how much exactly I add. And the lather quality and quantity is probably going to increase as this water will combine with the dry lather relatively dry, on my face to make more better lather. It'll look smoother, a little glossier. But we need that to have a nice glide. If I were to shave with what I just put on right now, it would, you know, originally it might be a little on the harsh side because without as much water, it doesn't quite bond to the skin as well to provide that glide. Look at that extra soap that's getting generated, and it's nice and slick and glossy looking. Looks great. But the whole thing is I want to try to establish a good procedure so that I don't have to sit here. What did I add? Almost a whole half teaspoon there. So we'll just keep playing around with it. All right, so that tells me potentially that the mix that I've got in the bowl right now is a little on the dry side. So we'll see. That also tells me that on the next shave, maybe what I'll do, leave my face kind of dripping wet from the rinse. All right, Nacet, use number 14. I'm feeling pretty good glide here. Glad I added the extra water. It's not great like it will be later on, but also right now I've got more hairs to deal with on my face. It's very comfortable. It's not smooth. This is a razor that's like maybe 6 or 7 in terms of aggression. I'd say 7 out of 10. His big brother, the Blackbird, is more like a 9 or something like that. Definitely gives me problems if I don't have the right blade in it, and if I'm not careful, because that I don't really use it all that much. Using a more conventional angle on this first pass to really knock down the hair. Not trying to get all the hair at once. Just reduce it with each pass. Makes for a very much more comfortable shave when you take that approach. We'll rinse. Let me pause you. There we go. Save you a little wait time by not having to watch me rinse. And now I'm going to grab some more lather from the bowl. And I left my face with some drips on it. Go back in to the lather and get. Let's see if this is also too rich to where I need to add water. See if those drips that I left on my face were enough. Also, the brush had a better ratio in it because, you know, I had added drips previously. Okay, now when I scrub like this, it usually doesn't tell me very much about if I got my ratio right. Now, this is very comfortable. This brush, very nice. I'm really enjoying it. It's got a little bit of scrub, I think not due to the tips of the brush, but maybe just to the sides of the strands as I've got it in a little bit of a splay. Gradually these tips are going to get softer and softer as it ages because they'll split. Now, I'll be able to tell my mix when I start the painting motion. Like I told you and have mentioned in previous videos, those furrows on the neck are the easiest ones to see. And if they are blotchy or deep, things like that, then that helps me to know about the consistency of my lather. And if my brush drags a little bit, I'll know that that lather really needs some water, usually. So as we look, now this one actually looks pretty good. We've got a nice even coat here, and if the light helps to illuminate those furrows and show shadows more, and I don't see very much clumpiness at all, so I'm happy with that. That's good. Let's roll with that. Just start somewhere different this time. And now I will use a closer handle angle, or as I sometimes say, the hangle. I'll use a closer hangle when I'm on my second pass. That lets the blade not have to have as much pressure on the skin, and it turns it into a razor that is much more comfortable for me. There we go, nice quick pass. Normally I've found that the best way to get this area right here is to come from here up on that pass. Just kind of forgot to do that this time, so I may have to do a touch up at the end. Let me rinse. And again, I'm not going to use, I'm not going to get any of those drips off my face, just go right to the lathering. I am, as usual, using cold water, and it is hard water, not soft. So it's not as nice for making lathers, but it's great to be able to advise people, because sometimes people wonder if their water is too hard, and I was able to rattle off a whole list of soaps that I've had no problem working with in hard water. Helps people out. Most of the time, if you have hard water, you can just add a little bit more soap to your mix, and that overcomes the hardness. It's probably the easiest way to battle hard water, just a little bit extra soap. You can add, I don't have a sink full of water at my disposal. I don't like cleaning off the sides as you drain it down, you know, with all the hair and stuff. And also I found that I don't use as much as a sink full, so I'm conserving water by not using the sink. But if you have a sink full, then you can add a little dash of citric acid available in the canning area of your grocery store, and that can soften your water. But got to get it right, because if you add too much, it can kill your lather as well. So, all right, so let's take a look. Those furrows, there's not any clumpiness. Look, they're thin lines, and they're consistent without any bumps and issues in the furrows there. So, looking good. And this shave, when I rinsed off the first pass, I felt good creamy lather, and the other day I did not, and so that's a good sign. This may be my best first time lather yet. You know, first shot. Williams seems to be very nice to me when I go back to the puck and kind of build a second lather. But I want to get it right on the first time, and that's one of the reasons I lengthened my bloom time, because I thought, what's different in this second loading of this soap? And it was simply that it was I loaded after it had been used once. So I was deducing that maybe it just needed more time to bloom, and here I go not doing my usual from the bottom pass. I'll just do a touch up there, I reckon. Sometimes it's good just to change it up. I mean, I don't have a job where I'm in front of people that require me to have an amazing shave, and so I can be a little bit less structured with my padding around my face sometimes. Feels great here in the rinse. leave some water on there for the touch up. All right, let's go ahead and do that neck only pass, since the Nacet isn't quite as sharp as it used to be. Lather looks great. Very nice. Plenty of lather left for another even like 2 passes. Now, at the end of your shave here, we've already done 3 passes. If you have a razor like this that can give you irritation, it's very important to think lightly, hold it loosely, think very little pressure, and adjust your angles as you go. Very light pressure, and that will help you to avoid what I get often on the 4th and 5th passes, which is razor rash. Notice I'm only holding it with these 3 fingers, and I'm holding it in the central area so that if the head needs to move, it can. And that helps me never to press too hard against my skin. Well, looks good for now. Notice that sometimes it looks good after you've done it with the soap still on there, but then when you rinse everything away, it's like the soap was hiding hairs or something. Even though I don't see any soap on my face, it's the oddest thing. All right, I'm going to pause you while I rinse. Okay, the results today are a little better than I got yesterday, so that's encouraging. That means the Nacet isn't declining as fast as I thought. I'm happy about that. There were maybe 10 or 12 hairs right in this region. There I can see a little length on the tips there. I can see the tips with a little bit of length on them. The rest of them are cut flush. So it's right now, it still stands as an above average shave for me. So this continues to be a great combo of blade and razor. Comfort is excellent. I'm feeling just a little bit of something right here, not pain at all. It'll probably be gone once I put on the aftershave lotion for today, and indeed all of August. This is the fresh scent from Afta, and I tell you, I don't like it very much. It's a little too girly for me. I don't know how they can market this to guys, but they do. And this has a little bit of alcohol in it. And I'm not getting any stinging. So that means that I had good technique during the shave, especially with a kind of an aggressive razor like this Dart. If I can shave with this one and not get any stinging after the shave, my technique was on point. This seems to hydrate my skin pretty well. Really happy about that. It's not very expensive. I don't think it's available in too many stores. Found it at a local grocery store. 2 of the other grocery stores hardly had anything good for shavers. And then I just went to an Ingles, and it had the Williams that I'm using, and it had this aftershave lotion, and so I was very glad about that. Very happy with the closeness of the shave. 95% baby butt smooth on my cheeks without going against the grain. I'm happy. I'm going to put some stuff away, and I'll be back. So how much extra water did I use? As you recall, I started with 1.5 teaspoons in the lather. And then I ended up putting this much, which is a 1/2 teaspoon, on the brush during the first pass. I put on the soap and then I needed some extra water. I started to rinse this out just now in my cleaning process. Realized I didn't show you how much lather was left. And so there we go. Probably some of it's washed away, but probably a nice 2 passes of lather. And so, so that's, I'd like to reduce that just a little bit, just to conserve soap maybe, but we'll see. Right now I'm going to just change a few things at a time. I think I'm going to go ahead and put in the full 2 teaspoons of water next time and see how it goes. So it's important to try to dry out your natural bristle brushes after your shave. You don't want them, I've already slung it out in the sink there to get rid of the large bits of water. And now I'm just going to stroke it on dry sections of this towel. Strop it, I meant to say. And while I do this, I wanted to mention that, so I did switch, if you've been following my progress this month, I did switch from that green V-shaped bowl to this lather bowl here. After I figure out my procedure and my formula that gives me the best results, I'll switch back over to that green bowl to see if those same results work in that same bowl, or if maybe this bowl has some special attributes to it that make a difference. All right, then I want to spread out the hairs. This is still a young boar, I think 20 uses maybe. And that's one of the reasons I chose this knot for this month, so I could get some nice age on this and let the hair split and let him bloom and all that stuff. Do I see too many split ends? Yeah, I'm surprised. Not a lot. So it's, you know, maybe this one takes a while. Some of them can take as long as 6 to 9 months to fully break in. Now, in terms of the split ends, it may be breaking in slowly, but in terms of the width of the bloom here and being able to hold a good amount of soap, that it achieved pretty quickly in just a couple of uses. So I'm very happy with this. It feels great on my face. If I was stuck using this for the rest of my life because everything else just disappeared, I'd be fine with that. It's a good brush and very inexpensive. The knot itself is like $13. I guess it's around there, within $1 or $2 of that from Whipped Dog. And then whatever handle you want to put on it. You can get inexpensive handles for $6. That particular one I think is 15 or something like that. And then you've got a handle that can last you many years of good use. All right, I'm going to keep cleaning up. So when I started this month, I was under the impression that Williams is one of the better deals, budget-wise, for a good soap. I shredded up the puck. I put it in the bowl here, and this is just a little 4-inch bowl ceramic bowl from Walmart. And there's the cake as we've kind of worked on it. And I just used a cheese grater, to make the shreds, and then I just pressed them down in as hard as I could, and there we go. But since then I've learned that there are probably some cheaper options, and so I was trying to make this series and analyze this soap this month to help people be able to use this soap because it's a good budget option, and it probably still is. But something I've discovered is that there is Sella, one of my favorite soaps. I really enjoy it. It's been an Italian soap that's been in production for, I think, longer than 100 years. And the formula hasn't changed too much. It's a cherry almond marzipan type scent. And I really enjoy it. And it performs really well. I get a great lather from it. If you're over in Europe, I think you can get it for really low cost. But over here in America, it may be more like $10 or $12. But I still consider that worth it. But you can also buy for maybe around $30 to $34 a 1 kilogram block of it. Ouch. And the that may be the best deal, because that lets you refill maybe 10 of the little tubs, and those little tubs are probably going to last you a few months. And so a 1 puck of Williams is going to last you about a month, is what I hear. And so we're going to also, that's something else we're going to find out this month as well. But and so if if Williams is about $1.50 to $2 a month, then if you buy the Sella 1 kilogram block for $30, especially if you find it on sale or free shipping or something like that, then that's 15 months of shaves, and I am confident it's going to deliver more than the comparable amount of Williams will, maybe even twice as much. And it's much easier to lather. So if you're watching these videos and budget and money is your main concern, that Sella, the block of Sella, I'd recommend, number one, if you can, buy the single puck to try it out, make sure you like it, and then buy the block if you like it, because then you can refill your little red container with the block. Now the containers are a little small, and so if for ease of loading, another option is not to buy the small container, but to buy the block and then buy a larger soap tub. Sterling Soaps offers them, as well as Maggard razors, and for just a few dollars you can buy an empty tub that has plenty of room for you to load up your soaps with the brush. And so that's one of the best deals out there. Comparable deals, maybe the best, is a stick of Arco, because you can get those for about $1.50, and they last for a very long time. It's a hard soap. Unfortunately, the drawback with that is the scent. The performance is great, I hear. I hear it's a little bit drying to the face. Williams sometimes has that acclaim, but I usually put on a balm afterwards. And so drying afterwards is not a problem for me. And so then Arco's there. Arco has a very industrial, lemony, strong type of scent that really puts some people off. It's kind of a joke among wet shavers around. But especially if you shred it and lay it out, then that scent can dissipate. But I will mention it because it's inexpensive. It's harder than the Williams. I think a stick of it, a comparable amount, will last longer. And so that's an option for you. Check that out. Read up, study up. If you're in the budget zone, then that can really help you out. Arco. And it comes in a stick, and all you do is peel it down, get your face wet, and then rub the tip of it. It's about as thick as like a quarter or something like that, cylinder. And you just rub it around for a while. Then you take your wet brush to your face, and that will make the lather. And there's not really any bowl lathering with it unless you shred the stick, much like how I did with Williams, and put it into a bowl, which I might recommend. But the stick is great for traveling as well. And it's cheap, so it's easy to try to see if you like that. And there we go. Good shave. Face feels great. No irritation. No dryness, anything like that. The soap doesn't really dry me out very much at all. And then especially with a reasonable aftershave lotion. And it does have some like aloe type ingredients in it that helps my skin. Maybe not specifically aloe, but one of those. All right, I'm almost done cleaning up. So if budget is your concern, I'd encourage you to look into the Sella that I mentioned, or the Arco. And I think you'll be happy with those options. But if a little bit of nostalgia is valuable to you, using the same soap that your grandfather probably used, if that's important to you, every once in a while. I mean, you don't only have to have one soap. Get a pack of this, put it in a mug. I got a just simple mug like this, and there's another puck just sitting at the bottom, fit perfectly. You can use it that way too. Switch back and forth between the Sella, the Arco, and the Williams if you want. But this just has a nice history behind it. And some guys have just used it for decades, and you keep using it. Who knows? Maybe there's somebody going to watch this video that's been using Williams for a very long time, and for whatever reason they never bothered to work on their process. Maybe we can help them to get a nice luxurious lather where previously they were kind of just getting by. But a lot of people like it, especially a lot of old guys who remember it, and they remember their dad using it. They remember their granddad using it. It's a great way to connect with your history. I think that's a neat thing that wet shaving offers you. I'm using a new modern razor, but I have a drawer full of vintage Gillette razors that were made way before my dad was born. And they are shaving very, very well. And many of them are very inexpensive, $10, $12, you know. And so it's very easy to get a collection of those. And they shave really well. Unless there's some kind of, unless somebody's dropped them and wrecked them or something, which is rare. Really, you never know who used it when you buy it used like that. An old soap like Williams, it really connects you with the guys that have gone before you. So that is something that might be of value to Williams users out there. So that's use number 14 in the books of that blade. It's August day 12 of Austere August, and that's, in case you didn't know, that is where we're buckling down with one set of gear, because it's so easy to collect several soaps, and sometimes you just want to kill one to get it out of the way. Sometimes you want to focus in on a technique. That's what I'm doing, and so that's why I'm using the same set for August. And so day 12 is done, almost to the halfway point. And the Nacet doesn't seem like it's slowing down in terms of sharpness. It's still very sharp. If I was able to do a reverse direction shave, we call it against the grain, then I believe I believe that I would still be getting excellent shaves that are flush cut, instead of having a few tips that I see there. But I can't do that. It gives me a little too much irritation. And so I'm really happy with the Dart. I have been blessed to be able to figure that out. It started out really rough, but I changed the handle angle there with the second and third passes, and it's much more comfortable, predictable, consistent, all those good words that end up being a good, comfortable shave, even with a fourth, touch-up type pass going on as well. Excellent. All right. 12th one is in there. I think that's it for commentary. I hope this helped you in some way. Take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.